A new PlayStation 6 leak suggests Sony's next console will launch with a much simpler design than PS5 and feature a detachable disc drive. Sony's next generation console is slowly coming into focus, and over the past few months we've seen more and more leaks hinting at what the PlayStation 6 could look like under the hood. Reports have claimed big upgrades are on the way, with AMD's latest Zen 6 CPUs and RDNA 5 graphics tech powering the system. There's also been talk of major performance targets, like running games at 4K resolutions and up to 120 frames a second. I mean, that's pretty cool. It's kind of a given at this point, you know, a PS6 should be able to run 120 frames per second at this point. We had PS5 with most games hitting 60 frames per second, but even like graphic heavy games kind of struggling with that already, and it's been kind of a setback for this generation mostly, you know. I mean, you know, not games like, you know, competitive online games, those are always running at 60, but I'm saying graphic heavy games, newer games that are coming out, always trying to, like, they're struggling to hit the 60 frames target for most of the time in consoles, which is not what they promised before this current gen launch. They said most of the games, like most games, will be able to hit the 60 frames per second target. We are getting performance modes, true, but by sacrificing the graphic fidelity. PS5 Pro has kind of managed to come a little bit closer to the target that they initially intended by having like a balance mode where you get a bit of both, but that's still not either here or there, right? We need more. So I think PS6 has high expectations to be hitting these higher resolutions and graphical fidelity and, you know, higher frames per second. You know, ray tracing is quite heavy graphically, and even a lot of developers are trying to not use it as much because how time consuming to make them and expensive they are to include in games. You know, most notably recently, Battlefield 6 said they're not going to be using ray tracing in their game. It's a game that's coming out in 2025, not using ray tracing, a big AAA title. But I'm not surprised to hear that, you know. I'm not surprised at all, because if they're going to have a better game by not including ray tracing and it's going to run smoother, so be it. I think that's what, you know, most players would want from their game. So yeah, I can't complain, dude.